So surprisingly, there actually was a shake-up with the banned and restricted announcement today, which was something that some of us didn't think would happen, considering we've got a standard set and then Modern Horizons in the June. So only a couple of months of the current modern metagame, if you will. Today, Violent Outburst was banned, a card that was making the 2 Cascade decks in the format probably the best decks in the format. There's a debate there, obviously, because there's still like Amulet and Yawgmoth running around that are also really good. To unpack and help you understand why Violent Outburst was so good in those decks, it's mainly the instant speed. There are other Cascaders that they can use. Hell, they're using Shard's Agent, and there are ones that can replace Violent Outburst that are sorcery speed. The reason the instant speed thing matters is because you can do it in your opponent's end step to untap with the Rhinos, to give you essentially pseudo haste, but most importantly it meant that Force of Negation was a tool that the Cascade decks could utilize that was both too expensive to cascade into, but also gave them an interaction spell that could be cast alongside a Violent Outburst in your opponent's turn, thus giving you a free interaction point in your opponent's turn. And of course, there is the other traditional thing of cast your threat spell in your opponent's turn and make them respond to it to untap and cast your second one. All of these reasons are why Violent Outburst was so good, and Wizards are claiming it as pushing the Rhinos deck to metagame percentages similar to Red-Black Evoke when Fury was legal. Sorry, I misspoke. I meant Red-Black Scam. Either way, I'm happy to see it go. I think these decks were easily the best decks in the format, and they felt quite oppressive when they were firing on all cylinders. Although, to be honest, the firing on all cylinders draw is probably the laid under the Guild Pact draw with Scion in the the Rainbow Rhinos deck or the Domain Zoo deck that's also playing like a double-edged sword. Either way, I think seeing Violent Outburst go is a positive thing. I do think that Yorg and Titan are probably going to be the best decks in the format now. Either way, I'll continue to play shit white creatures in Lavinia, even in spite of all this best deck in the format conversation. Sometimes you got to play the cards that you think are cool, but I'm also privileged because doing well in events doesn't fucking matter. That's not part of my job. So that's just a short rundown of Violent Outburst getting the kick in the teeth. The other update was that Ponder is no longer restricted in Vintage. You can play 4 copies in Vintage. I'm not going to really say much about this. Most people aren't playing Vintage. I'm a content creator with rental accounts and a lot of time on my hands to talk all about Magic, and I don't really play Vintage. So it's, you know, it exists. People do play it on Modo, and that's basically where it lives now, which is kind of the way Legacy is going as well, unfortunately. Although we're not getting all cards that are printed into paper onto Modo. That's a whole different video. Either way, Ponder has been restricted since 2008, so that's an interesting shake-up, I guess. I don't know if it really matters, and ultimately it probably won't affect anyone. I don't want to sound dismissive. The reason I'm saying these words out loud is not to be dismissive if you enjoy Vintage watching this. I think Vintage is a cool format. I'm saying it because people might ask my opinion. I just don't really have one. I haven't played Vintage. I think I played Pioneer more recently than I played Vintage. That is a sad thing to say out loud, which sounds dismissive of Pioneer. I'm not trying to be dismissive. I'm just trying to give some context for where I'm at. Played a little Modern recently, played a little Commander, played some Legacy a little bit before that, Cube. You know, I'm still loving Magic, just haven't had a chance to play any Vintage, and I don't really have any plans to, even on Modo with a rental account, unless that's something that people want to see. I've been Vince, I'm PleasantKenobi, and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ta for now, bitches.